Hello, dear parents. How are you? Hope you all are healthy, happy, and coping with this difficult situation with lots of positivity. Dear parents, it's very important to keep the little children engaged in some healthy activities at this tough time where they have a strong desire to go out and play but can't even express it. That is the reason why Viola keeps giving you suggestions about some very interesting and beneficial activities which can help the child's learning and various abilities grow at the right pace and also to keep them engaged and stable. In my earlier video, I explained to you about bilateral coordination of hands, and we understand that it's very important that both our hands learn good coordination to perform better, and hence we can always give the children a little bit of practice of these coordination activities at this developmental stage only, because as we grow older it becomes a little difficult to achieve those abilities, though not impossible. Further in this coordination, today we will get to understand the crossing the midline activity practice. So what is crossing the midline activity? So if we draw an imaginary line going right in the middle of our body vertically, uh, and if our right side hand or foot goes across the other side and perform an action that side or performs a task that side, this is called crossing the midline activity, or vice versa. If we observe a little baby, when he sits down and if he has to grab something on his right hand side, he will always use his right hand only to grab that particular thing, or if he has to grab something on the left hand side, he will only use his left hand. He will not take his hand across the body and go there, or he will turn his torso completely to that side or this side. Babies do not generally cross their midline until their process of crossing the midline begins. So crossing the midline becomes very important as we grow older to perform so many of our daily tasks, such as writing or cutting, or in some special actions also related to sports and dance, etc. Take an example of when we have to hit the tennis ball or the shuttlecock with the right hand from the left hand side. So in those things, in those actions, good crossing the midline activity ability is important. So sometimes you will notice the children swapping the hands, or half the task they will be performing with right hand and half the task they will be performing with their left hand. So to prevent that and to gain more efficiency in their day-to-day tasks, it is important that we uh, make them practice these crossing the midline activities a little bit from this stage, and they're not difficult at all. They don't really feel like an activity, they just feel like fun. And especially, dear parents, I would suggest that in sports and in dance, etc., they are very useful, not just of the hand but also of the feet. If you take a personal example, you will realize that many of us are not able to use, the crossing the legs, for example, in a dance movement, or crossing the hands or arms also, or my left hand can go like this easily but my right hand cannot go like that easily. So these are a few examples I'm giving you. If we have to, to button up something or to use a zipper on my supportive hand side, so with this hand I am able to, the dominant hand, I am able to do it quite well. But if the zipper or the button is on my left hand, my dominant hand side, then my supportive hand will not be able to perform that task so well. So that is why it is important that both our hands practice the crossing the midline activity right from the young age. So today I am going to show you some crossing the midline activities practice with hands, and later I would like to show you some feet movement also. But for now what you can do is that you can ask the child to uh, push something or move something ahead with the left foot, which is kept on the right side, or vice versa, or move something away or bring something closer with the right foot, something which is kept on the left side. Or you can trace a large figure 8 on the floor and ask the child to draw with the toes one by one with both feet. So right now I'm going to show you a few simple activities of crossing the midline by hand, and they are also related to the numbers, the alphabets and the shapes that they are learning. So let us see. So what we are going to do is, we are going to ask the child to put one object here and another at this point. So the child will go like this, come back this way, and then cross the midline. Again cross the midline, go like this, again like this, come back and cross the midline. Cross the midline. So this crossing the midline is very important, and we can do it with one hand also. So with one hand the child is crossing the midline, going down, going up, coming this way, going back again, and then coming down. So you can draw any pattern or decide the way you want to do it, and then the other hand this way, crossing the midline, coming down, going up, come back, crossing the midline, back again, like this. Now crossing the midline this way, come back like this, and with this hand we can take any path. The idea is basically to cross the midline, so wherever we can do it together. Difficult, but the child may do it like this, right? And so this is how you can make any pattern. You can just turn it like this and then try. So this is going to give a wider region. So this is one activity. Now we will do a little different activity. Now what we can do is, first the child can use single hand. Go like this and come back like this, and with left hand go like this, come back like this. And then what we can do is, we'll turn it around, and then the child will move from here up to the other edge, crossing the midline, and come back. Cross the midline, come back. Cross the midline, come back. Now from this side to this side, going back. This is very difficult, so we will have to wait for a while till the child can understand it. And then like this, reverse the hands. Then this way also, when we are doing the same movement, then also we are crossing the midline in the same direction. So see, one by one, at this moment this hand has crossed the midline, and when it goes this side, then my right hand has crossed the midlines, and then we move the hands in other directions to give equal opportunity to go far to both the hands. So this is how we are going to do this activity.